We welcome you back here to Longhorn Weekly, and very pleased to be joined by Texas Soccer head coach Ange Kelly. Always good to see you. Glad you could drop by tonight. Glad to have you here.
Great to see you, as always.
All right, so I spent all this time during the first half of the program, and it's normal when we're talking football with Coach Strong to talk about young guys because he has so many of them. And then I look at your group, and you are chock full of freshmen and sophomores learning on the fly and doing all of that. And I know you have some really talented underclassmen, some freshmen and sophomores that you're hoping really blossom and produce big for you as time goes forward.
Yeah, Craig, our incoming class was the #1 recruiting class in the Big 12 and top 15 in the country, led by the likes of Sierra Henson, who was up for one of the players considered for the U20 World Cup team that's going to be playing here in another week. Just a really, really bright star. She actually was out for the first 3 matches of the season with a little bit of an ankle sprain. And to be honest, throughout the course of the season, we've never been able to play at full strength. So we've been a little bit snake bitten, having 5 or 6 of our starters out at any given time. But that just gives opportunity for these new players that you just spoke about. We have 11 new players.
Wow.
8 freshmen, 3 transferred in. Everybody is busting at the seams every training session, and certainly those young players are learning each and every day.
Let me ask you about a couple other new ones. You have Takora Turner and Kira Falcone, who they have scored goals for your offense as well. What about those two? And again, we're talking about young players trying to ramp up in a hurry and get acclimated to college soccer at its highest level.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I've always said, it's pretty difficult to have just only 2 weeks and then go straight into a competition, which is obviously a challenge for every soccer coach because we're the first sport that starts on campus. But Kira Falcone, she came in, 45 seconds, scored 2 very, very dynamic goals in her debut. I was really excited for her. And Takora Turner scored a game winner and a big-time goal against UC Santa Barbara a couple Sundays ago. Both just incredibly athletic, great physical presence, incredibly dynamic and fast. And the sky's the limit for them going forward. It's just now acclimating to the college game and the speed of play.
How much do you and your staff, or how do you balance what you're getting from those young players, what you come to expect, and yet manage the expectation and yet make sure they're still learning the things that they need to learn while contributing? Because I know you don't want to inhibit what they're giving you. By the same token, there's a way to do it right, and you want them to continue to learn the way that you need them to learn to be able to contribute in an even bigger way.
Well, you don't want them to be paralyzed by the analysis of the game. You want them to still play instinctual, and I think that's a very fine line for coaches, especially when they're expected to contribute as soon as they step on campus. One of our big parts of our philosophy is you're not a freshman for this whole entire year. The moment that you step onto our campus, you're no longer a freshman. Actually, you're a Texas women's soccer player. So we quickly get into their mentality in that regard. We certainly aren't recruiting any young lady to redshirt them or to have them sit out. We're getting some of the best recruiting classes in the country in 18, 19, and going forward because these young ladies are excited about putting their stamp on this program and contributing from the moment we say go.
All right, Ange Kelly's our special guest during this portion of the program. We'll talk some more about this Longhorn soccer team and the Big 12 race as well. All that and more with Longhorn Weekly continues in a moment. We welcome you back here to Longhorn Weekly. Our special guest during this portion of the program is Ange Kelly, Texas soccer coach. We talked about the fact that it's been difficult for you to have your full complement of the players that you'd want to have on the field at one time because of injuries. How do you have to manage it with all the players you've had, just been riddled your lineup with injuries? How do you manage what you've got to do to get your competitive lineup on the field, understanding that some of your players are playing a little more than they're accustomed, some not as much because of the injuries, and how you manage all of that so you can have a cohesive unit?
Well, it certainly is a challenge, especially with the 11 new players coming in. And I think that's a challenge for any coach, regardless of the time of year. It's understanding your strengths. It's hopefully having depth in every position. And we certainly have that going forward. In my 20 years of experience as a coach, I haven't quite been snake bitten quite like we are this year. We certainly would love to have Michaela Flores and Alexa Owens, two of our leading scorers from last year, goal scorers, and a dynamic duo up top, both from Southern California. We'd love to see the likes of them in combination with the youth national star of Sierra Henson. That's all for the future as of right now, and then it is time for Kira and the likes of Takora, Paige Hoopers, to take their opportunity and to continue to understand. From day one, we tell them everybody's going to be expected to contribute. You don't exactly know when it's going to be your time, but you have to be prepared. And it has come so true this year, and if anything, it's shown our players from 1 through 24 that they indeed can have an impact on this program.
Wow. You had to replace 3 of your 4 defenders in the back line and your starting goalkeeper and an All-American in Abby Smith. We've been talking about young players, but it's only fair to give you a chance to talk about some of your veteran players, the few that you have, like your senior captain, Isabel Kerr. She's been solid in the back as well, and I know any coach likes to have a stabilizing force in terms of the leadership on your back line.
Isabel Kerr and Julia Dyke have been mainstays for us, and that's up the spine. That's what in our game what you like to keep strong. But Craig, to be perfectly honest, these 2 young ladies are all Big 12 candidates. They've been starters for us. But the story really there, Craig, is the fact that Isabel Kerr's carrying a 4.0 in the McCombs Business School. Julia Dyke has already received an entry-level position with J.P. Morgan. So you're having these young ladies that are carrying higher than a 3.5 in our business school, the number 1 school in the country for business, as well as being a starter at a top level program. So the story really there for me is the character of those 2 young ladies. The strength in which and the fortitude to which they bring in the field, the positive attitude, and I can certainly say we're going to see them in the future. They just might be leading our country.
Okay, definitely could be. All right, you've got 2 huge matches. Tomorrow night, Texas Tech comes in, and then West Virginia comes in on Sunday afternoon. Let me start with Tech. There's always a good rivalry there, and it kind of really is spiked up a little bit between your club and Texas Tech, and your club always really seems to play well against Tech.
We've had a great record over the past 4 years, and certainly a winning record versus them since I've been here. I have a lot of respect for Tom Stone, and he's done a great job. They're well organized, but they do bring out something a little bit extra in us. I think every Big 12 squad does, but Texas Tech brings out a little bit of a bite, and we're going to be ready. The girls, our young ladies are excited, and we're going to be ready for battle.
And then West Virginia, the top team in the league, comes in, and when you get a team that is playing as well as that is coming into your house, I know it means an awful lot to student athletes to defend their house, to defend their turf, that sort of thing. How important is it, because you've, like you said, been snake bit on the injuries, and it's been some unfortunate things. I mean, anybody that's followed what happened with the program, the ridiculous thing that happened with the California game, we won't get into that, but you won't say anything about it, but I can. It's important to get a psychological or a mental lift early in a match, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. West Virginia is not only the top team in the Big 12, they're the top team in the country this week. They have 2 Canadian internationals that have played in the World Cup and the Olympics, and they're seniors, and they'll be graduating seniors, and they've certainly carried West Virginia to new levels. So that's going to be a battle. There's going to be an emotional sense to that game with it being our senior night, and the likes of the Julia and the Izzies that we've just spoken about, and the rest of that senior class who has meant so much to this program. We're going to be ready to go. We're going to take it one game at a time, and like I said, we're prepared as a staff. We're prepared for Friday, Sunday if we were to go out and play the 2 games back to back right now. But our squad is ramped up and excited for our walkthrough tomorrow morning, and then for our match tomorrow night versus Tech. But I'd like to thank the fans in advance, because we certainly have had a tremendous showing at home. It's great to sing "The Eyes of Texas" with them prior to the match, and it's certainly wonderful and brings chills to you to be able to sing "The Eyes of Texas" with our fans at post-match. So I just want to thank them for all their support thus far, and just mention that it means a ton to our squad and to our young ladies, just to feel their energy and for them to give us a lift, and then for them to get excited when we put the ball in the back of the net.
Well, it's always great to see you. I appreciate you dropping by and spending a few minutes with us.
Craig, is wonderful. Thank you.
All right, Ange Kelly, Texas soccer coach. Coach Strong will rejoin us with Longhorn Weekly, live from Pluckers. The West Campus location continues here on the Longhorn IMG Radio Network.